January 19th, just after. All right, so it is January 19th, just after 5 p.m., and I'm going to call this meeting of the San Diego Water District Board of Directors to order. And would the clerk please do a roll call?
Yes, Board Member Hinsey?
Here.
Is present. Board Member Lyons?
Here.
Board Member Kranz?
Here.
Vice President Blakespear?
Here.
President Mosca?
Present.
Record will show that all members of the San Diego Water District Board are present, and Water District Board members do receive an independent stipend of $100 for convening Water District meetings pursuant to San Diego Water District Resolution number 89-07.
Perfect. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no special presentations today. Do we have anybody that wants to address this body on items that are not on the agenda?
No, we do not.
All right, and we have no report from closed session, and we have, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the posted agenda, and no items are being removed by members of the public from the consent calendar.
Perfect, and we're gonna move on to the consent calendar. We're gonna handle the consent calendar in one motion. We have 3 items on the consent calendar. Are there any comments on the consent calendar or questions? Not hearing any, I'll entertain a motion on the consent calendar.
So moved. I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, that takes us to the first action item, number 10A, which is a public hearing to consider adoption of resolution number 2022-01, implementing adjustments to the San Diego Water District's water capacity fees. And Senior Civil Engineer Olson is going to take this item.
Thank you, President Mosca, members of the board. The item today is a public hearing for implementing adjustments to the district's water capacity fees. On May 20th, 2020, the district board authorized Infrastructure Engineering Corporation to prepare the district's water capacity fee study. IEC teamed up with Bartlewell's Associates to develop the updated fees. District charges capacity fees on new development within the district service area. The fee is collected when a customer purchases a new water meter or increases the size of an existing meter. The water capacity fee study being presented today develops fees that justifiably recover the cost of infrastructure and assets that benefit new development, are consistent with industry standard practices and methodologies, and comply with all applicable government codes. The draft water capacity fee study was presented at the November 17th, 2021 district board meeting. 3 capacity fee adjustment scenarios were presented for consideration. The scenarios included 2 options to phase the updated capacity fee over a number of years to help mitigate the impact on new development. The board unanimously selected scenario 3, which would implement a phased-in approach, increasing capacity fees once every 6 months over a 2-year period. The board also directed staff to schedule a public hearing. No comments or inquiries were received by the district. I will now hand the presentation over to Michael DeGroot with Bartlewell's Associates to discuss the framework, methodology, and results of the district's water capacity fee study. The board will then receive any public comments, discuss the information presented, and if no changes are requested, adopt the resolution to increase the district's water capacity fees.
Thank you. Good evening. So I'd like to kind of refresh the presentation from last time. A lot of the information in here is repeated, so I'll go through it a little bit quickly, but here's a summary of the key points. Essentially, the district levies water capacity fees on new development within the district's service area, and the water capacity charge recovers the cost of existing potable facilities that benefit new customers. And in addition to the district's capacity fee, new connections within the district also pay a capacity charge to San Diego County Water Authority, or CWA, for their facilities costs. And the district's water capacity fees were last updated in June of 2007. The district's fee schedule is aligned with the CWA charges based on meter size and utilizes the same ratios. And our proposed fees are based solely on the value of existing assets benefiting new customers as identified in the district's 2021 Technical Memorandum Number 3 Asset Valuation Study and 2022 Water System Master Plan. The proposed fee methodology is consistent with the prior 2007 study, which was based on a buy-in to existing assets. So here's a schedule of your current water capacity fees. And a typical single-family dwelling connection would pay $3,300, and then larger meters pay proportionally more based on the size of their meter. Here are the costs that are recovered by the proposed fee. It includes real property valuations, such as land and improvements, and that's about $7.4 million, and then also includes some depreciable fixed assets such as water pipe replacement costs and facilities, and those facilities include reservoirs, pressure reducing stations, and joint facilities owned in conjunction with Santa Fe Irrigation District. So the total cost basis in today's dollars is about $582 million, and after depreciation, the total cost to be recovered by the fee is $175.8 million. So here's how the fee is calculated. We looked at your average annual demand in acre foot per year, and we determined the ultimate build-out demand would be 6,403 acre foot per year. We took the cost basis of the fee of the $175.8 million and divided that by the ultimate build-out acre foot per year of 6,403 to get $1 per acre foot per year of 27,462. And that unit cost is applied to the meters based on their estimated demands. So your current fee for this typical single family dwelling would increase from $3,300 to $9,140, and that's a $5,840 increase, or about 177%. And as you can see, the larger meters would pay also 177% increase based on their current fee. So how does that compare with the region? So currently you're on the low end at $3,300, and the highest agency in the region is Santa Fe Irrigation District at $17,636. And the average for the region is about $8,000. So with this increase, you'd be a little bit above average at $9,140. To mitigate that impact on the initial increase, we're recommending an implementation schedule, and that would be a phase-in over a 2-year period. So the capacity fee for a 3/4-inch meter would increase by $1,460, with a second, third, and fourth increase of $1,460 6 months after each implementation. So here are the next steps. So today is January 19th. This is the public hearing to consider adoption of the water capacity fees. And then March 20th, 2022 is the earliest effective date of the new fees, and that's 60 days after adoption.
Thank you, Michael. As mentioned previously, the board will now receive public comments, if any, discuss the information presented, and if no changes are requested, adopt Resolution 2022-01, increasing water capacity fees on April 1st, 2022, October 1st, 2022, April 1st, 2023, and October 1st, 2023. This concludes our presentation, and we are available for questions.
Thank you. One of the questions that I'm thinking about is in the future, what is it? What do we have in terms of our policies of when these increases come back to us? Because I think, waiting 15 years and then having this type of significant increase doesn't even make up for the lost years as well, as opposed to small incremental increases every year, or as appropriate. So is there something that so some future city council's not going to, find out that these fees haven't been increased for 15 years? Is there something that we're going to do in terms of a policy that says, when the fees have to be looked at, not only this fee, but any other fee that we have, that it's not kind of dormant for 15 years?
That was actually one of the first questions that we asked our consultant. In dealing with other water agencies throughout the jurisdictions in California as a whole, we asked what is the typical rate that people come and address these capacity fees. Michael, I'll hand it to you over for that.
Yeah, I would say typically we recommend updating these studies every 3 to 5 years with a new study.
So there's nothing as far as written policy or code, but we plan to follow what the industry standard is and take a look at these every 3 to 5 years, so we're not missing out on revenue and we're not having such a large percentage increase over the years.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to open up this public hearing, and then I will call on my colleague, Vice President Blakespeare, for first question.
So the chart that showed that we went from the very lowest to the second highest, can you pull that back up again, please? Or the third highest? Why is it we're leaping in front of all those other ones again? I mean, are they just behind too?
Right, yeah, some of them are outdated, but you're just a little bit above average. The average is about 8,000, and you're going to be around 9,000. But you can see it's a lot less than your neighbor Santa Fe Irrigation District at 17,600 approximately.
Okay, well, that district is very small and is Rancho Santa Fe almost exclusively, right? So,
Solana Beach as well.
is it Solana Beach? Okay. I don't see that necessarily as a comparable, maybe the Solana Beach part, but the Rancho Santa Fe water use is, among the highest in the state, I think. But, so I think, anyway. So these are fees, I just want to confirm, these are fees that are paid once, either when there's a new home built or there's an upgrade for some reason. Okay. And then it's paid once, like when we have all these housing element sites that are being built, it's being paid by the developer who's then selling or renting the homes. And then, of course, if an individual property owner buys an individual property that does not have a home on it yet and builds one, they would pay this too. Okay. Do we
Yes,
have
that is
any
correct.
estimate of the number of people this affects per year?
I have the past data of how many meters we had. So for fiscal year 2021, we are estimating between 25 and 50 new connections, and it really varies over the years. We looked at the past amount of new meter installs that we had, and it varies based upon development.
Okay, that's fine. And do people ever downgrade their size?
They do, and when they downsize their meter, what they do is they are actually forfeiting those additional capacity fees into the system. So let's say they downsize from 1.5 inches to a standard regular 3/4 inch meter. If for some reason in the future they want to go back to that larger size meter, they have to pay all the capacity fees applicable at the time of their application. So we don't see too many people downsizing just because there is that potential that if they want to upgrade, they have to pay those fees again. And normally it's people with a larger meter that have a larger lot, so we talk about possibility of development and keeping that meter as very advantageous for moving forward with development.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right, any other questions or comments on this item? Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, we
Sorry.
do not.
Yes,
See,
I
Board Member
am
Krantz?
wondering, there's no Prop 218 involved in this? No, and that's because it's prospective customers of some?
It's governed under a different code.
But the analysis is similar, that this is a fee that you basically, you look at what the services are that we're rendering, and the fee is in sync with or lined up with that service.
Right, yep, you have to have a cost basis for the fee, and it cannot exceed that cost basis. So we've calculated that in our study. But it's not subject to the Prop 218 noticing requirements. If you were to go out with rates, there's a 45-day noticing requirement, and then there's a protest. So it does not fall under those guidelines.
All right.
I would point out that, we discussed this quite a bit at the meeting back last year, and, we are phasing in, which I think is the prudent way to do this. I think that I appreciate the Vice President's sensitivity to the way that chart looks there, but the reality is that, we should be fiscally responsible, and maybe those other agencies need to catch up. So with that, I would move the recommended action.
All right, so we have a motion, and just to confirm, so I closed the public hearing because there's nobody else out there that wants to speak. Do you want to speak on this item? No, so it's closed, and now we have a motion on the table by Board Member Krantz. Do we have a second? A second by
I'll
Board
second that.
Board Member Shay Hensey. Like, what's her name? Who is that? She's been in Hawaii too long. I'm like, who is she? When did she come to our meeting? All right, so we have a motion, a second on this item.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great. All right, so we have no more action items, and we're going to move to our informational items. And we have an informational item, response to water shortage, response level 1 declaration informational report. And this is going to be Water Resource Specialist Han.
Thank you for your patience. President Mosca, members of the board, my name is Augustine Hahn, the new Water Resources Specialist at the district. I will be presenting the response to water shortage response level 1 declaration informational report today. During the presentation, we will be covering 5 items. The first slide is a review of the board's past decision. On October 20th, 2021, the board voted to declare a water shortage response level 1 condition. The response level is detailed in the Water Shortage Contingency Plan chapter of the district's 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. Level 1 outlines demand reduction actions to achieve a voluntary reduction of 10%. Some of the demand reduction actions include expansion of public information campaigns, prohibiting the use of potable water for washing hard surfaces, and prohibiting runoff from landscape irrigation. The second slide reviews water industry actions that have been taken in response to drought conditions. California is entering what is forecasted to be a 3rd consecutive dry water year. The Department of Water Resources released an initial state water project allocation of 0%. This is following an allocation of 5% in 2021 and 20% in 2020. On August 16th, the Bureau of Reclamation declared the first ever level 1 shortage at Lake Mead, the primary reservoir for lower basin states on the Colorado River. On October 19th, Governor Gavin Newsom declared a drought state of emergency, which included all 58 counties. On October 28th, the County Water Authority declared level 1 of their water shortage contingency plan. And finally, on January 4th, the State Water Resources Control Board approved drought conservation emergency regulations. The emergency regulations took effect yesterday. The regulations will remain in effect for 1 year unless modified by the State Board. This third slide covers the district's direct responses to the level 1 declaration. Those actions include conducting social media outreach on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Nextdoor, On the left of the slide, you can see a few examples of the social media posts. Staff also included the shortage declaration information on the drought page of the district's website. And staff also coordinated with the city to publish 2 articles in the city's newsletter. Staff will continue to conduct outreach on demand reduction actions via social media, the district's website, water bill inserts, and press releases. In the month of November, the district reported 11.8% conserved when compared to water use in 2020. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our ratepayers for their response to the declaration. In addition, staff will continue to evaluate the pandemic and staff's ability to perform in-person conservation outreach, which historically included workshops and participation in community events. On the 4th slide, we'll be covering actions that assist in conservation efforts. These actions include updating the district's website with direct links to social media accounts, and also creating an online water waste report form for residents to report wasteful practices. This aligns with neighboring agencies who also have online reporting tools, and this is in addition to the district's other methods for monitoring water waste, which will be covered on the next slide. And the final slide covers the district's conservation actions that were in place prior to the Level 1 declaration and also continue today. These actions include sharing information about rebates and incentives, such as the WaterSmart SD website, which includes landscape audits, educational workshops, turf replacement rebates, and other incentives. Staff also continued to monitor for wasteful practices by examining billing and meter data, passive surveying while out in the field performing other duties, taking water waste complaints over the phone and through the My Encinitas app, and proactively notifying water wasters to take corrective actions. Staff continues to seek opportunity to collaborate with water industry partners. This can include community-based organizations, the County Water Authority, Metropolitan, and water associations. For example, the Rain Barrel Incentive Program, which is taking place right now, is a partnership between the Solana Center and local water agencies. Finally, staff continues to seek outreach opportunities and programs for the public, such as the North County Water Agency's 4th grade poster contest, which will be getting started later this month. This concludes the report. The recommended action, the staff recommends that the board accept the report as written. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn. Do we have any questions? Vice President Blakespear? Oh, sorry, I just put it up. Board Member Kranz.
That's okay. I don't really have questions. I have more of a comment, and that is that you obviously are a much more effective president. You're good at presidenting, because about as soon as we transitioned the leadership of this board, that drought map color just started to change. And so I wanted to congratulate you on your leadership in that regard.
I do my rain dance every night.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Very good. So, congratulations are indeed in order for our ratepayers, who that's a pretty good jump in savings there. And keep up the social media work. And I hope that we can continue to see the precipitation come from the sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Kranz. Vice President Blakespear?
Yes, thank you. Could you go back to the slide that has the form on it when people want to make a complaint? So this water waste reporting form, can I make a suggestion on the wording? So if this is accurate, could we say the district will follow up, but should you not fully, or should you submit anonymously, we may not be able to fully investigate, but basically to indicate that if it is done anonymously, you'll still follow up. Because I think what we want to do is encourage people to point out problems, right? This is not an area where we want to get into a neighbor dispute, but we do want to be able to say, hey, it's running down the street every single day in the morning at 4. And so, to have you go around and give them a letter or something. So, and I fear that the way it's written, it leaves it unclear if you would do anything if it was anonymous. So if we started it by saying, the district will follow up on this, but may not be able to fully investigate if you don't provide contact info, then it kind of provides both things.
I think that we can go ahead and make the changes requested.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm
Board-
very glad to see this.
Thank you. Board Member Lyons?
Yes, I'd just like to follow up. This is new, correct? The water waste reporting form. I understand it's new. I think that's great. One of the things I'd like to make sure we do, and maybe it's already being done, is to connect to the people with the right tools to make the right changes, because they might be wasting water because a head's broken, or there's some sort of, you just assume there's something not functioning correctly, whether it's their controller or can we hook them up with a water audit? I mean, can we provide that opportunity? Because I think it is one of the services that we're connecting people to. If they proactively say, I've got a problem with my irrigation, I would like a water audit. But if they don't proactively and someone else says it, then can we connect them with that?
Board Member Lyons, yes, thank you for that comment. When we do conduct social media outreach, we'll make the best efforts to link them to resources. When we, point out demand reduction actions, we'll be happy to link them to resources such as WaterSmart's San Diego, which includes a lot of incentives, rebates, and also other informational programs that'll assist them in conserving water.
I think that's great. The more we do that, the better. I know, gosh, time flies, but 5 or 6 years ago when it was really kind of a hot topic, it was more of a hot topic to do the water conservation, there was a lot of people interested. Because we haven't been able to meet face to face, I think things have kind of simmered down a little bit, and I'd like to do whatever we can to get the energy, excitement around conserving water again at home going in our community. So this is a great opportunity to do that. Identify a problem, here we can help you, with these resources.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Hensy?
Thank you. So I am very pleased to see that we exceeded our goal and we saved 11% instead of the 10% that we targeted for. But I am just curious because I think during our subcommittee on water rates, we learned that in 2020, water use was higher than previous years because so many folks were at home. And so do you think that some of that conservation is attributed to the fact that in November, at that time, people were returning back to work and using water outside of the home? Like, is that a trend that we're seeing across other water districts in North County, or can we attribute a lot of that to our efforts?
Or that we got 1 inch of rain?
That too.
Han will share with you Augustine will share with them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of factors that would go into calculating that conservation rate. But I will point out here on the slide, the regional changes for November 2021. You can take a look in the hydrologic region of the South Coast. The percent conserved is negative 0.8. So as a trend in the region, people were using more water in 2021 as opposed to 2020. And in our district, like we mentioned, it's 11.8% conserved. And so I think that's definitely a positive trend.
That's outstanding. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so if there are no other questions, do we have any public comments on this item? All right, so if there are no other questions by board members, this was a receive and file, so we'll receive and file. And thank you, Mr. Han, for that presentation. So we're going to move to the next item, which is General Manager Isam's report.
Yes, I have a couple of items that I'd like to discuss. Thank you, President Mosca and members of the board. The first one, I want to update you regarding Lake Hodges and the rain events that took place back in December. During the December 1st through December 31st, we had a runoff of 1,640 acre-feet, which is about 540 million gallons. The district and San Diego splits the runoff 50-50%. Accordingly, the district share is 820 acre-feet. During the rain event, the district staff coordinated with CWA, Santa Fe Irrigation District, and the City of San Diego to move approximately 930 acre-feet of CWA water and 700 acre-feet of city water from Lake Hodges to the Oliven-Hain Reservoir to avoid reaching the level restriction imposed by the SOD. In addition, the district's the district started treating 40 to 50% local water starting December 15th and then shifted to 100% local water from December 29th through January 10th. After which it shifted to 68%, which is currently the percentage that we are treating at the Badger plant. The second item I'd like to share with you had to do with the 100-year anniversary celebration for this upcoming year. There are currently 4 events that we are planning on having during the year, and obviously we're open for any suggestions from the board. The first one will be taking place on Monday, March 21st, and in the wave report it had March 17th on it, and that we could not actually reserve the community center on that day, so March 21st is the luncheon that we're going to have for our staff and hopefully with the board. Our main celebration event, we were able to reserve the community center for Tuesday, May 10th. And then we were going to do a display of the San Dieguito Water District history in the library sometime in September of this year. And also the San Dieguito Water District staff will be participating in the Encinitas holiday parade in December of this year. District staff will continue to search for historical documents and photos of the district. If you have any or know of anyone that does, we appreciate if you can share that with us so that we use it in our events. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Isham, for that news. Really very positive news. It's good to hear that we were at one moment on 100% local water, and that we're now, what, 60%, you said?
68%.
So that's still positive for this time of year that we have 60% local water. And so where are we at in terms of storage, you said, after all the rain events?
Okay, our storage currently is around 900 based on the information that we got on January 1st, 900 acre feet.
All right.
300 of them is actually our dead storage pool. So we have 600 that we are trying to utilize before the next rain event as part of our local water.
And it's good to hear that the agreements that have been worked out in the past are working out in terms of just being able to move that water around through reservoirs and systems. And so good to hear that that's worked out and that water is not being wasted, but it's being utilized. Also, I just want to say to my fellow board members that I've been working with Isam about how to celebrate this kind of 100-year milestone. And we were, I think, originally envisioning one event around the date of the 100th birthday. But because of the pandemic, what we've done is kind of push that out a bit, but then had multiple events leading up to that. As he said, the luncheon with staff and also board members, the main event on May 10th. So it's just before kind of people are thinking about summer vacations in June. So we thought that May 10th would be a good time. And also, I had brought up the history event where, this is a significant milestone, and there's, so much that has been done over the years. And that wouldn't it be neat to have an event at the library where we have kind of a conversation, a dialogue about like our history. And I know that, not that Tony's historical, but Tony's been around for a while. And so I did say to reach out to Tony Kranz to see if he had any documents on the history and perhaps even help us put together kind of a talk about the district and everything that how it all came together. And I think I was even saying that I thought I saw a picture of you in a baseball game wearing the T-shirt San Dieguito Water District. So perhaps we even have pictures that we can show, but that would be neat if you could kind of collaborate with us.
I do have that, and I was on that team. Picture day, I didn't show up with my shirt on, which was very disappointing, but I'm sure it was on my floor somewhere in my room. But everybody else had the Water District jersey on, so it is true I was on that team. The other thing that I had done when I first was elected, I went out to the Badger filtration plant and I saw a plaque that dedicated the facility, and the members of the Water District Board were listed. And Val Noonan, who was the gentleman who sold my parents the property that we developed on, or built our home on Ocean View Avenue, and he was an avocado grower and agriculture person for a really long time. His family is still in town. And I would think that it would be good to invite them. Also on that plaque is Fred Weston, who is the owner of the property that is going to become the La Costa 48. So he is still around as well. So I think that it would be excellent if we could reach out to them and somehow engage Mr. Weston maybe directly, and then the descendants of Val Noonan. That would be great.
Great. And then we'll culminate with kind of end it all with a holiday parade, an entry in the holiday parade. But if you guys have any other thoughts about how we can celebrate, please share them with me or Ishan, because we definitely want to mark this milestone.
I'll just add a comment that my recollection from having had conversations with my family who's been here a long time is that essentially everything was just dumped into the San Elijo Lagoon. So like before we had a water district and a wastewater plant, there was, it was very much related to the lagoon as a flushing system. And so it might be worth having some reference to that and the sense of like how far we've come. Because clearly we all would not support doing anything like that now, but there's changing cultural standards and expectations of what you do with wastewater.
Yeah, it was known as a slough then, I believe. And so, yeah, that was its purpose, was to deal with the black water. There was also a sewage treatment plant on the corner of Vulcan and Encinitas Boulevard where Cottonwood Creek Park is. And that semi-treated water ended up down Cottonwood Creek.
All right, so we have lots of ideas for marking this milestone and lots of things that we may not want to highlight. So, all right, on that note, do you have anything else, General Manager, to report? All
Thank you. I'll conclude my
Perfect.
report.
You ended with some good news, so we'll end that and say that this meeting is adjourned. The next meeting of this board is scheduled for February 16th, 2022. And we will resume in a second with the City Council meeting.
Yes, we'll come back at 6 p.m. for the City Council meeting.